All right, so welcome back to the Edo Decider studios of Voice of the People TV as we monitor elections going on in the heartbeat of the nation, talking about Edo State, and the candidates are beginning to count their votes and the polling units results are beginning to look very interesting. Of course, things are beginning to take shape as INEC has also bowed to the pressure of giving more time so that those who are behind can fall in line and be counted as far as the votes in Edo State for who will be the next governor to replace Godwin Obaseki at the Osita Osadebe House out there in Benin City. And of course, it's still a full house. I have my guys here with me. Definitely we have Barrister Dalit is still with us. And of course, Chilaka joining us as well. And it's great to have you. I know you've been following up what's going on as far as the elections is concerned. And of course, Afina. So far, so good. So far,
Edo Decide 2024 is an interesting one. We have the PDP, APC, and Labour Party being at the border of that election, although we have other political candidates also. But, you know, from the look of things, it's like the people of Edo State are beginning to let their voice be heard. Prince Chilaka, good to have you in today's show.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, now, we have to, let me start with you first. You know, given the fact that some polling units in Edo State, there were no electoral material, and INEC also delayed in coming in those, polling units. Do you think that particular act can in any way, mar the outcome of voters in those units?
INEC has never been prepared. INEC has never been ready for any election in this country.
Why will you say so? Because you have Mahmoud telling us that they're ready for all the elections.
Mahmoud himself shouldn't even be in that office. Let us be honest with ourselves. Unfortunately, Nigeria is a country where people don't get penalized. People don't get punished. There are no like Mahmoud shouldn't actually be overseeing any elections, based on what happened in the 2023 elections. We all know that up till now, INEC has not come out to tell Nigerians what kind of glitches they had during the presidential election. So for me, INEC would always come late. They would always give you excuses. They started by gaslighting Nigerians that where one of the local governments where they have their materials delivered was under attack. And then when, people reached out, when pressmen reached out to them to say, what kind of attack? And, all INEC kept saying is, we have a channel of reporting. We're not supposed to, report. But you have raised an alarm. You have gaslighted the people. You have created a panic. In other words, you're giving room for, people to believe that, if in quotes, if there is any form of rigging or voters' apathy or something, anything that would, affect the voting pattern or the distribution of the materials, you already have created a forum for people to, begin to show sympathy for you. But we must pass that stage, We must pass that stage where INEC has enough time to prepare for elections. So why is it that it's on the election day that we begin to experience all sorts of excuses from them?
I need to also talk about the transportation or logistic being an issue with the fuel pump price hike. They made mention of that during the week, and they also pointed out the fact that some of the materials were damaged by water, but they were able to get from other states, and they also said they've charged even the Bvas that will be used. But here in Edo State, we heard about how 845 will not be able to cast their vote over the fact that the Bvas is malfunctioning.
How many times do our phones malfunction? If you charge your Android phone, and maybe you have a presentation to give tomorrow morning, and you charge it overnight, it will last about 6-7 hours before it runs down. Now, look at the Bvas. It's a more sophisticated equipment, which means that the battery lifeline should be able to give you at least 12-14 hours. So why is it that it's always on election day? You hear that the batteries have run out. You hear that the Bvas have a problem. I mean, when will we, as a people, stop giving excuses for, for ineptitude?
So are you saying that the promise of the INEC commissioner that IREV is what we're going to use to televise the result of the Edo Decide 2024, if network permits, it's more like
When you say if network permits, it sounds it's an insult on intelligence.
Well, you know that Nigeria is not that strong when it gets to network and
it is not that strong. But when the DSS want to arrest you, they have the system to do that. Why is it that their systems don't fail them? Why is it that they don't lose network when they are tracking somebody, tracking a journalist or tracking somebody they believe is against the government? Why is it that they don't have glitches? So why must they have glitches on the day of election? And this is not like something you prepared in, over 2 hours, 3 hours. This is something they prepared over months. So these are excuses that at this time we shouldn't be faced with such excuses. The election should be seamless. It should be just walk in, do your voting, and walk away. But we like bureaucracy. We like protocol. The way we have bureaucracy in the civil service, we have brought the same bureaucracy into electioneering.
All right. Barrister Darlington, before we observe the quick break and before diaspora perspective, some units in Edo, for example, the Ward 3 unit 10, there were not election activities going on there due to the fact that INEC officials delayed. But we have a press release from INEC extending the time in areas where the process commenced late. Do you think that the extension of time will also give more room for the people of Edo State to come out and cast their vote and make sure that the votes count in this 2024 election in that state?
Yes, I think so, because the Edo people that we have been monitoring since morning, they have been very vigilant in this election. Very, very vigilant. In fact, they are doing the work of the security agencies.
So you're saying they will carry mats and carry kettle, if possible, go there to count like they were told?
That is what it means.
Okay.
They are going to wait until they cast their votes. That is the Edo people that I know. They have proved themselves today in all areas. You saw when they were pointing out at some people who they call APC people, who came with guns and all that, and eventually the military came and picked them up. They were very persistent in shouting, APC, look them, So they have proved that, yes, you cannot come and mess up in Edo. And so far, so good. We didn't see any major security breach, like what happened in Lagos during last year's election. So they are going to wait and cast their vote. As long as their names are in that ward, they wait and cast their vote, because it is their right. It is their right, and they are ready to wait through. More so when INEC have extended the time. So I don't see any problem with that.
Well, in contradiction to that, I've just seen pictures online where in Benin there's a polling unit where, I don't know the actual polling unit, where pictures of thugs have already destroyed some ballot boxes already. So in spite of the 35,000 policemen and the number of military, thugs can still boldly go to a polling unit to destroy boxes. Does this show that maybe those who the security operatives are comfortable with are no longer having their way, so the thugs have been allowed in to create commotion?
I just told you that it is not a major issue, as if you compare it with what happened in Lagos last year. You understand what I'm saying? This is an isolated case. It's not something that can mar the election. That means that particular ward, the election there will be cancelled. It's as simple as that. So they didn't do anything that may affect the outcome, because that is the important thing. That the action you are talking about, was it so massive as to mar the outcome of the election? If just a unit or a ward that this thing happened, we cancel this thing there and then.
But some mischief makers can use this as an opportunity to say there were disruptions in some areas. Prince, what do you think?
All you needed is to, because you know that each polling unit have 500 voters there. All you needed is, since you are making so much case about that, if you go to court, they will minus the voters there. Let us assume that all the people there would have voted for you. Okay. They will minus it from the actual result, so it will not make any impact.
You see, my grounds with the Nigerian police and the participation of the military in our democracy gives me this feeling that we have not really cured ourselves of military rule. And it also goes to say a lot about the constitution we are running. I have always advocated that obnoxious document called the 1999 Constitution is nothing but a military decree, hurriedly put together by Abu Salam and co. So it was, in other words, that is a document that has created so much problem in this country. I don't understand why on the day of election, which should actually be something people should just walk into the polling booth, cast their votes, and take a walk. You have soldiers, you have police, you have, even at the end of the day, with all this heavy security, you still have non-state actors having a field day. So it simply shows you that something is definitely wrong with our security architecture. And it means that along the line, we have allowed the politicians to infiltrate into the security apparatus of this country and using it for selfish reasons. I remember a few years back when we were growing up, when you hear of police coming, or you hear just the sighting of them, you no matter who you are. But today, you see a policeman and a tout, and a political tout, an area boy, will challenge him. We've seen on video where touts were trying to collect guns from policemen.
Talking about guns now, Prince Francis, Asue Godalo, the PDP representative in this Edo Decide 2024, said something about security operatives coming out to polling units with gun. What is your opinion on that? What do you have to say as regards that?
It is the reason why you have policemen and everybody armed is because they're the politicians, whether PDP, whether APC, whether Labour, they are the problem. They are the ones who arm these hoodlums because of their selfish interests. For me, it doesn't matter who is contesting. The bottom line is that everybody contesting is selfish, is wicked, is greedy. Because at the end of the day, once they get elected, they change their phone numbers. They change their home addresses. If they know that this is, everybody knows my house to have a white color, they will change it to red. So as to make sure that the people that voted them don't get to them. And until the Nigerian people begin to realize that power belongs to them, we cannot get out of this. So if Gadola is talking about policemen coming, how about the thugs? Each of them have armed.
Okay.
All right, we understand that we have a video of vote count already going on in the polling unit in Oredo local government. We would like to take some pictures of that, of course, analyze that when we'll make a return. Please take a listen.
I wanted to. All right, to still get you the update of all the voting activities in Edo Decide 2024. And I'm having in the studio still with us Prince Chilaka Francis and Barrister Darlington Agomo. And now, Prince, you said something about people knowing that power lies in their hands and, taking it back and all that. We have a video also in Edo State where the people of Edo decided to stop a particular man from, participating in Edo Decide 2024 without a voter's card. Let's get that video, please. Right, that was in Unit 6 in Kabibo, where the APC chairman wanted to cast a vote without, a voter's card allegedly. And the people there said, no, that is not going to happen. And they are beginning to. What do you think of that? What do you make of that?
That was Jared Denebe. And I can hear the language from the background.
Okay.
Making is katana. That means they want to scatter this place. They want to scatter the polling unit. And they want to be commotion any minute from now. And what that means, if, for instance, someone who is supposed to be in the know, that coming to a polling unit as a registered voter, you're supposed to come there with your voter's
card. Yeah.
That is already going against the law. In a same country, that man should be arrested. Tinebe should be arrested. But with what I know about Tinebe, he's a very powerful man. But that should not be the case. If the law takes its course, no man, whoever, no matter how high you are, should come to a polling unit without a voter's registered card and want to contest, want to vote, I beg your pardon, in an election. Is that not laughable, Prince?
You said he's a very powerful man, and I'll say he's a very stupid man. Okay. He's a very clueless individual. These are people that are spoiling our political identity. And, and then also coming to also know that he's, I guess, a ward chairman. Well, he's a ward chairman. I don't think he's a state chairman, but a ward chairman of APC. It gives the impression that APC government, from the beginning to the end, believes in grab it, snatch it, and run. And that is what he's trying to display right now. It is really, really shameful for a whole chairman of a political party who should know better, who should be the one that is teaching others, to come and want to be the one to destabilize a process that is meant to usher in good governance. So these are the kind of people that are messing up the system.
Yes.
Yes, these are, and like you said, he should be arrested,
right,
but he will not be arrested because at the end of the day, his godfather is in power, which is at the national level.
All right, Barrister, what do you have to say about that? Going to the polling unit without a voter's card and you're going there to exercise your franchise?
My dear, that means you have forgotten what happened in the recent past. Certain Yahaya Bello had a double registration. Yet, nothing came out of it. So many of them have committed many infractions against our electoral laws. When their principal in Abuja was presenting his documents for election, what happened? Fina, what happened? That one is paining me up to tomorrow. Seriously. Very, very painful and shameful. Very, very painful and shameful. Even their candidate in Edo is brought into the same infamy. A man who presented 3 birth certificates to INEC. 3. And he still went ahead to contest that election, even when court has spoken. Eh? So, my dear, is infamy galore as far as APC is concerned. In fact, APC don't like any decent man among them.
So does it mean that a particular party now is higher than the constitution of the country? And
can't you see it? Didn't you see what Yahya Bello is doing? If that man were to be from another party, do you think all this back and forth will be going with EFEC?
First, Darlington, what does that leave Nigeria in?
Even if he's hiding in the house of God, I mean, God is protecting him, they'll go there and pick him. And
where does all this happening leave Nigeria in our international body?
The result is what is going on now.
Remember that our vice president is in Onga 74, representing Nigeria. And with all this happening, we have, like you just rightly said, people who are going out to commit 1 or 2 and are still moving around freely in Nigeria. What does all this whole portend? You
need to see the opprobrium they are causing you and I abroad. They are no longer worth anything. They only listen to them when they are coming to borrow money. But when they come to international affairs, your Nigerian leaders are not regarded. In fact, their voice does not count. Nobody listens to them.
But how come?
Because as they are talking, somebody is punching his laptop or phone to look at the man talking. His data, everything will come out, and you are looking at, a felon talking to the whole world.
This same Jared Tenebe you're talking about is a well-known thug, and I am confused. How would somebody like that vet to an office as much as the chairman of a political party? One, and he had a lot of time to have even found a way to get a voter's card ahead of the election.
Yeah.
It shows high gross of irresponsibility on people who are supposed to be leaders of a political party, for instance, in a ward. Is that not amazing?
You have forgotten, Abi. You have forgotten that for you to be somebody in APC, you must start from Togre. You would have done some dirty things here and there. You must have been doing some dirty job for your principal, for them to recommend you, say, yes, this is our man. I have said it before, and I'm saying it again. One day in this country, MC Oluomo will rule Lagos State.
No, Prince.
And somebody will be interpreting for him.
Prince Francis, just last week, this week, this is just Saturday, just during the week, we have the senior advocate of Nigeria. He made a statement that those who have the market Nigerians, shouldn't be allowed to be the president of the country. What do you have to say, looking at what is happening now, just a decide 2024?
Nigeria, sadly, we have the worst of us ruling the best of us. Nigeria is a country where the minimum qualification to be your president is attempted school cert.
Your ability to read and write.
Yet, with your school cert, let's even assume that you're done with school cert, you have all A's. You cannot be a director in any government establishment.
So you're faulting the no too young to rule,
No. What I'm saying is that first and foremost, it's not about whether you're young or not. No. There's something education does to an individual. It opens your brain. It makes you think as if there is no box. Now, so imagine putting somebody who has a school cert and somebody who has a HND, and you give both of them equal tax. Who do you think would be able to solve the problem? Or who do you think would have the capacity to manage people? So we need to start from there. We need to start from there before we begin to talk about those who are demarketing us. A lot of people who are demarketing Nigeria, in their mind, they don't believe they're demarketing Nigeria. Because they don't have the requisite qualification and experience to know what demarketing is. That is why today you have a minister of state for defense that is being accused by bandits that he is supporting us. Even the governor of his own state has come out publicly to say that this man, while a governor, was having romance with bandits. And the whole nation is quiet. There's this quietness of the grave in Nigeria.
And that brings me to this question. What then will happen? Because the Attorney General of Federation just talked about those who are demarcating the Nigeria as unpatriotic. What do you now think will happen, Prince, for Nigerians demarcating Nigeria? Like Nigeria itself as a country now, for example, saw what happened between Zhang Shane firm and Nigerian government, confiscation of our properties, confiscation of our jets, and also in the words of Sani Abacha, that any insecurity that lasted in this country for over 48 hours, hands of the government is in it, with the 14 names given to Nigerian government as financiers of
500 names.
Activities.
400.
No, it was shrinked for that.
Oh, did they show you the names?
No,
when you talk about,
Let's look at the 16 names that we have published,
okay.
already
Now,
published.
Let me start with, when you say demarketing, the federal government itself, right from the time of Buhari, has been responsible for demarketing this country. You go to Kenya and you kidnap somebody, or you abduct somebody, Nnamdi Kanu, to Nigeria. What other demarketing are you talking about? Cases have come up, judgments has been delivered. This same government, because it's a continuum, governance is continuum. And this kind of continuum now is the same political party. Yet, this is a government that does not obey court rulings. So if at home, it's a charity begins at home. If at home you are not able to do the right thing, is it when you go abroad that you do the right thing? It is these same leaders. We see them, they go abroad, they go to UK, they go to US, they enter trade. They don't have security, they don't have nothing. They are just ordinary citizens. But once they enter into Nigeria, they have all manner of security. You have DSS, police, area boys, everybody becomes their security.
So are you saying we get our independence too soon? Is that what you're saying?
We need to start from our leaders.
Because from what you're saying
but we must also point out, sorry to bring this back, that we must also want to commend those citizens that actually stopped the man from contesting, from voting in that election. That also shows that the citizens are aware, and of course they've said enough is enough.
No, it's
to take a stand.
No, it's not that the citizens are not aware. Let me tell you why most times you'll find that the citizens are laid back. You have a country where poverty has been institutionalized. It is a very terrible weapon. And the political class understands that and they're taking advantage of it. So you find a situation where today, look at the way Nigeria is. There is hunger in the land. There is poverty staring everyone in the face. So Nigerians have been reduced to that point where it is survival of what? The fittest. So those you see today that are saying is enough, it's because the people, hunger has taught them a lesson. But how many Nigerians have learned from this hunger? How many? Because I'll tell you this, if truly Nigerians have learned a lesson from the current hardship in this country today, nobody will come out to contest election from APC in Nigeria.
Talking about the same Jarrett, if you dig up past antecedents of the man, he was one time arrested by the EFCC in 2015 for a crude oil theft. So it shows that a lot of people who are in such positions have one criminal record or the other, and still yet they are still enjoying some political office at the helm of affairs when it comes to the APC. If you take a look, for instance, in the issue of Zamfara, the present governor actually made incriminating comments about the current Minister of Defense. And what that means is like giving a cat to take care of the fish. Someone who is going to take care of the defense of the country has been linked by a current governor to be part of banditry. So what is actually going on? What's the madness in all of those who are supposedly holding powerful positions in Nigeria?
I said the day Nigerians will discover why and how APC came to power, they will shed tears. There is something about this APC and their leaders and supporters that I don't understand. They don't mean well for this country, serious. From their actions, their utterances, their behavior, they have not shown that, yes, they are patriotic one bit. They have not. All their actions tend towards destroying and dividing this country. At every opportunity, you see them displaying tribal sentiment, ethnic sentiment.
But Barrister Darlington, we saw that APC came into power in Nigeria after the elections in 2015. So isn't that a way of bringing in a new government? That is the only way democratically that Nigerians know of bringing in new government. So what do you mean when you say, if you tell us how APC come into
My dear, that 2015 election, if you saw the level of killings, the climax happened in Kano. The climax of killings orchestrated by APC happened in Kano. When the Kano REC said he was going to deliver the actual result from Kano, which was in favor of PDP, a commissioner of police in that state, he said, no, you cannot do that. I, the policeman, I have the actual result. You must not go and submit that one. The REC insisted, of course. That night, the night to the day he will go to submit the result and announce it, he was burned down in his house with his family. And while the house was burning, they surrounded it to make sure it does not come out. And that particular Kano gave Buhari the highest votes to that election, in that election. The highest vote. At the end of the day, that police commissioner became Buhari's IGP. 15 other senior officers, AIG and DIG, they were sacrificed to make a commissioner the IG of police, Idris. And of course, the rest is history. You know what happened when that man was the IG under Buhari. You can see. So is that election, is that victory? Tell me. We even saw toddlers, small children voting in that election. Toddlers, there were pictures all over the place.
Okay.
A lot of infractions were committed by APC during that election. But what came out of it? Was there any inquiry? No. Was anybody brought to book? No. So when you came to power through such means, what do you think will happen? You are not coming to lead. You are coming to plunder. That's the meaning.
All right, Barrister, let's
sorry, I want to add to that. I think we're talking about 2015 election that brought APC. I think the truth of what transpired was that Nigerians were misled. Nigerians were deceived.
Are you saying we don't have our own opinions?
I'll tell you why.
All right, go ahead.
Nigerians saw certain people as mentors. We saw the likes of Adeboye, we saw the likes of Bola Tinubu, we saw the likes of Buhari himself. You know, you saw a lot of people coming together. Don't forget, it all started with June 12th. When we said 2012, when they said they needed to, when Buhari Jonathan woke up and said he was removing subsidy. And then this cloud of people came together and said, no. That was on one side. On the other side was the insecurity in the land. The kidnappings that were going on, the bombings that were going on. So at that point in time, Nigerians felt that the PDP government they were clueless. They had no vision. They didn't have a solution to the current crisis at hand.
All right.
So based on that, they sold a dummy to Nigerians that this dummy will solve our problem.
All right, now bringing it back again to those Decide 2024, a lot of people came up, a lot of politicians, and The political parties and their representatives also gave their manifestos to people of Edo State. And that is what led to today, 21st of September, the Edo Decide 2024. And election actually has been going on in so many polling units there. Thank God to INEC for extending the time. In some places, it was a bit, let's say, relatively peaceful. We have the videos also put out there. And also in some wards, like Ward 4 of Aduawa and Ipobaoka in Benin City, we saw that some party agents are trying to distort what is happening there. I would like for that video, to be played, so that we can talk about that too. You can see some people are, doing the votes peacefully, whereas in some other quarters, party agents are trying their best to know if they can disrupt the peaceful election going on.
Because it's not going in their favor.
Security on ground. That's the former senator.
City. And this one here is from a peaceful polling unit where Nigerians in Edo State are deciding who they want to be their leader.
Security on ground. That's the former senator voting. Ward 3, Unit 15. Voting is going on smoothly. There is no cause for alarm. Security on ground. That's the former senator voting. Ward 3, Unit 15. Voting is going on smoothly. There is no cause for alarm. Security on ground.
All right, Prince Francis, looking at both the scenario that we just played. One unit was a peaceful election. The other unit kind of have disruption there. What do you really think, could lead to some people or some quarters now having a peaceful election, and some other quarters are having a disruption from party agents?
The first thing is that the Nigerian police, or the entire security apparatus, they are not trained to manage people. They are not trained in the act of relating with people. They are not trained in the act of playing an interventory role. Two, the Nigerian police and most of our security agencies have lost the respect of the people. Now, let me bring it home. If during election some fracas is observed, ideally the first thing is to isolate the persons involved. You isolate them. But you see, the Nigerian police will not do that. They will allow the people to start gathering, wanting to fight, and you just see them holding their gun, moving around, trying to... No. They must teach them the art of managing people.
So you're saying it's not about having 35,000 of them in
it is
Edo
not.
State?
It is not. Also, we need to, as a people now, the political class, let me talk to the political class. They need to stop this idea of going to a polling unit with their supporters.
I was about getting to that when I wanted to ask you this, Prince. Why is it that Nigerians, after casting their votes, they still remain at the polling unit? Isn't it going to be more like you cast your votes, then you move away, you pave way for other people who have not cast their own vote to go do the same?
The thing is this, the Nigerian people don't trust INEC. They don't trust the security agencies. and they feel that anything can happen. Now, before now, I'm surprised that they're allowing the table. Normally, it's supposed to be, your voting is supposed to be secret. So they're supposed to have this box where you just go in alone, cast your vote, and come out. Now, but if you have a situation where, we're using a table like this, we're displaying everything here, you're going to cause problem. See, this whole thing is a very simple thing. Even if people want to wait after casting their vote, every polling unit, if you have 6 police officers, you divide them into 2. Create a space where people who can, after voting, they can wait. Then you create a space for those who want to vote. And you ensure that the queue is maintained. I mean, that is what I believe the whole essence of having security men there. But the security men go there, they behave as if they are not part of the system. So if you come to a voting unit to vote, and automatically you don't, a talk will always be known. So it is the duty of the police, first and foremost, to isolate that person in order to ensure that no disruption. But they will not do that. So the Nigerian police officers, their rank and file, they are not trained in relating with people.
All right, a quick one now before we talk about the elections and the results that we have already coming in from Edo State. What are your expectations from Edo Decide 2024?
To be honest with you, I think the incumbent governor should be able to deliver the state.
Oh, you think he's going to go back to PDP?
I strongly believe that.
Oh.
And I mean, the signs are very obvious. Ordinarily, the third force would have, but there's a power of incumbency. And we know that Obaseki would do anything within his power to deliver that.
The power of incumbency, Prince Francis, is it really worth it in Nigeria, given the fact that a particular man who Nigerians talk about the most now, said that a single Nigerian head is not worth the presidential seat, even when he was the one that was in power before the election. Are we still talking about power of incumbency this time around, or credibility of candidates and what they can do?
Nigerians never talked about credibility of candidacy. Nigerians, the electoral system itself has never given credence to that. It has only given credence to money, status, and party. And we need to change this. We talked about why you have somebody, a talk becoming a chairman of a party. It's because the educated Nigerians feel that Nigerian politics is dirty.
Okay.
And that is why nobody wants to go and fight with the pig.
Wow, that's a strong one.
Quite interesting.
All right, and definitely more results are beginning to come out. We understand that Okwebolo, talking about the APC candidate, actually won polling units, and of course, quite a sweeping result. And of course, 102 for APC and PDP having just one, and of course, the Labour Party also sharing 1 point, 1 vote. And of course, that must be one person in his polling unit did not see him as the candidate, as against 102 people in his own polling units who agree with that. But with Ewohimi, where Asoe Godalo is coming, we are getting very interesting report that it looks like it's looking good for PDP, as the case may be. So it's looking very interesting as far as the elections is concerned.
All right, we'll have to go on a quick break. When we come back after this quick break, we'll continue. This is still Edo Decide, an exclusive fan in Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
APC on the logo. APC. Madam, remove her now. Continue. PDP. That's PDP. I never reach all those.
One of our supporters was arrested by many Mufti carrying guns. Number one, nobody should carry a gun into a polling unit. That's against the law, it's against the regulation. But you just see people behaving indiscriminately and behaving in the way they are behaving, oppressing and trying to intimidate our folks. But it won't happen, we won't be intimidated, we won't be oppressed. People can't just go around us. How come it's only PDP supporters that have been arrested? Every day, you see APC supporters, doing all of the worst things imaginable, but nobody arrested. Nobody even investigates them.
This supporter that was arrested, what was he doing that made them to arrest him?
He was in the polling unit. He was queuing, waiting to be accredited. He was queuing up waiting to be accredited.
So what's your call to the appropriate authority now?
That they should create a free and fair level playing field. This is getting too much, particularly from the police force or people that claim they're policemen. I don't want to think they're true police. They may be rogue policemen. And there's some known police officers, particularly in Rumi area, who are trying to settle scores, and it's not necessary. And they're using the police force to try and settle personal scores, and it's not fair. And we've said this before. The chairman of the party said this at the press conference some weeks ago, and we keep saying this. Policemen, if they want to be politicians, they should retire and come and be politicians. But if you're a policeman and you're being a policeman,
Amen. Amen. Are you ready to connect with distinguished Nigerians around the world? The diaspora
All right, welcome back. Well, it's still the Dodisai studio right here on Voice of the People TV. Interestingly, we just saw some clips that indicated how the elections have been going. But if you have been with us, we also told you that it is not just the elections in Edo State that are happening in Nigeria. There is also the local government council elections in some other parts of the country, particularly Kwara, Enugu State, and of course Imo State. We do understand that voter apathy did happen in Kwara State, where INEC materials did not get to some polling units on time. But as it stands, the local government council elections in Kwara, according to the reports that we have in our hands, it is peaceful. And of course, in some parts of Imo State as well. But we'll keep you updated with all of that. And we will be particularly still talking about the Edo State election, still in the studios with us. Oh, did I say I have my colleague with me? Kayla, once again.
Yes, we're back again. Good to have you. And now we have joining us the Prince Chilaka Francis. You're welcome to
Thank you.
Edo Decides 2024.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, we have Barrister Darlington with us. Now, some questions have been raised, and I'm going to start with you, Prince. Some questions have been raised about the statement from PRO Frank Mba about people going home after casting their vote. And of course, we also do have some reports that some Bvas machines did not work. But let's also put it out there that the overall effect of the Bvas right now is that 50% of results were transmitted through the IREV. But when we talk about the Bvas right now, the statement of the police PRO, I'm talking about Frank Mba, does it hold waters for you? Because he said, cast your vote and go home. Now, if those results are not uploaded at the time, what then would we be talking about credibility in this election?
Frank Mba should be very careful with what he says. Nigerians are not happy. Nigerians believe that the electoral system from 2023 has failed them. Nigerians have lost faith in INEC. And because of that, it's going to be difficult for anybody to convince any Nigerian who casts his or her vote to go home, because anything can happen. So what I would rather tell Mba to say is that, you know, he has men on ground. Let them create a space somewhere for those who have voted to stay, rather than asking people to vote and go home. Because at the end of the day, when you ask people to vote and go home, and people begin to contest the result, the police will now be held responsible. And we don't want that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't want that. So, you know, the police should understand to provide security for INEC officials and for the voters. So their role is not to dictate to the people what to do after they have casted their votes.
Right. All right. Prince, speaking of Frank Mba, I beg your pardon. Well, he has also come out to say that vote buying is one of the most difficult offenses to manage and curb. Coming from a Deputy Inspector General of Police, should he be really saying that?
Why do you have, I heard they deployed them, DSS and EFCC,
yes,
and all of that, you know. So if he's saying that, then he's not being honest with himself. Who are those buying the voters? How do you know voters are being bought? Obviously, it's not being done in secret. It's been done in the open. Which party do they belong to? So we must have a situation where in that polling booth or polling unit, where those people are arrested, the parties they belong to, if it is confirmed that they belong to such a party, those parties, the candidate in that booth should be cancelled. Immediately, he should be disqualified.
Now, Prince, I'm going to come to you and Barrister on this one. There has been the talk about political talks who have been sponsored by some political parties to threaten people who came out to cast their vote. We saw this in Lagos, and one of the videos we also have here, some political talks did the same thing. In fact, they said that if you do not vote for a particular party, you should leave that venue. Now, when do you think all of this is going to end? Because just like you did mention before the break, that there's been some level of weaponizing poverty, which of course is the reason why we see vote buying and all of those. You think this is going to end anytime soon, going into general elections like the presidential and all?
I'm going to say something that has been bothering me for a long time. And I would say that this whole issue of harassing voters and threatening voters and not being punished, I will blame it on Mr. President.
Why do you think he should take all of the blame?
No, the buck stops on his desk.
So what?
I had expected that when it was inaugurated on the 29th of May 2023, there's some far-reaching decisions I was expecting this presidency to take. First of all, I was expecting him to probe INEC for the 2023 election.
You think that is even going?
No, wait. You see, you cannot be talking about a sane society when people don't get punished for doing the wrong things. The day you get elected as the president of Nigeria, you no longer, your allegiance is not to your political party. Your allegiance is to the country.
Right.
We expect that the spirit of patriotism will envelop that person immediately. So I expected that Mr. President, being a Democrat that he has claimed all his life to be, would have come out to say, INEC, you talked about a glitch. What is that glitch? Probe INEC. So much money was put into INEC. And they did not account for that money. I expected him. No, listen.
Wouldn't that
this
be
is what
meant on his person?
This is what leadership is. And that is why a lot of Nigerians till tomorrow, they mourn the death of Yaradua. Yes. Because the man came out truly and said, I know, but let us move forward. You admit your fault. And you say, let us move forward.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask the same question to Barrister. Barrister, at this point, like I said before he responded, I'm talking about Prince, do you think in any way that we would see any level of change when it comes to having people being intimidated when they go out to vote by some political talks? He also did mention the probing of INEC. I don't know if you subscribe to that, but if you do, please tell us why you think the president can and should probe INEC.
In the first place, David, nothing lasts forever. Nothing, whether good or bad thing, they don't last forever. It's not possible. There are things that happened in this country some years back. Today, it has become an anathema, like a coup plotting. In the 60s and 70s, it was a common thing. But today, look at with all the infractions there and there, under Buhari, under Tinubu, nobody is talking of a coup here. Nobody. Meanwhile, in those days, the leadership cannot even do 1/4 of what these people have done in a civilian regime before they are thrown out. That will tell you that certain things will definitely change with time. With time, certain things will change, whether they like it or not. All this nonsense will not continue forever. As long as you and I continue to talk and speak about it, a time will come when Nigerian people will say, even the most foolish one among them, will tell them, no, we don't want your money again. The most foolish one will say, no, I don't want to do thuggery for you again. Maybe at that point, they know that the game is up. So whatever they are doing now can never last forever. It's a matter of time. For example, if we get our electoral act, if we get it right, and people begin to vote electronically, my dear, who will go there and be shouting, or be snatching boxes?
But during the trials at the Supreme Court, coming into the present administration, there was also the issue of INEC server being hacked. Do you think we can get it right in that regards?
No, if we vote electronically, the same technology that the US are using to do the election, we can bring it here. And it may be difficult for you to do that because election is going to happen on the same day.
Barrister, that same technology we're talking about is about the one we're using presently. Don't you think another kind of that?
No, we are doing the corrupt version of it.
Okay.
That is why you are still in court 1 year after the election. Do you know that some election results are being contested in court up to now?
Yes.
So if we are getting it right, who will go to court? On what grounds? So we have not gotten it right. When we get it right, things will work out on its own. You don't need to talk or shout. You don't. It's just that the leadership deliberately refuse to do the right thing because it will favor them. That's all.
Prince,
when we begin to have leaders who think of Nigeria first, patriotic individuals who will bring reforms. Okay, look at it this way. Was it not somebody who went to court and said, look, local government must have their autonomy? And the court said, yes, it's true. Any state who does not have local government election will not have their revenue coming from Abuja. Can't you see the impact? All the local government, all of them are struggling to conduct election. Struggling, every state now. Because of what? That money. Because the Supreme Court have ruled on that matter. Not even rule, it has ruled. When the Supreme Court ruled, all the other courts will just go and hide under their bed.
All right.
So if not for that decision, do you think all this? Some states are not ready to conduct local government election. Are you aware? Some 20, some 18 years, nobody has bothered. But because of that decision, so subsequently, leaders will come. That is why these periodic elections are very good for democracy. Because along the line, God may give us somebody who will say, look, let me make a change. And that change will come. So whatever they have done in the past, they cannot even try it because there's no room for it. They won't get away with it.
Okay, but Prince, Barrister was speaking about technologies. We're talking about technologies deployed to make our electoral process and electoral system better. Well, I'm going to reiterate this question because I asked before. We've seen various reforms implemented in our electoral system. But when we see these modifications employed, we see disparities between the expected and actual election outcome. What other modification would you say, our electoral system, INEC, should deploy to enhance integrity and transparency in our elections?
It's not about deploying any technology. It's about looking at what you have, ensuring that it works, and having a situation where if it doesn't work, there must be punishment, there must be sanctions.
Right.
In 2023, before the election, INEC got about 300 and something billion or so.
350 billion.
Have they given account of that to Nigerians?
So is that where you came from, where you said the president has to probe?
Yes, the problem is accountability. Nobody wants to be accountable. Nobody wants to, tell Nigerians the gospel truth. You collected, it's like you now, you're giving, let's assume you're giving money to go and monitor a election. And you decide to go and sleep in one hotel and relax yourself. And then you come back and everybody's asking you, what happened in Edo? What happened in Edo? Don't worry, nothing happened. Do you think that the man who has invested that money will be happy? He will need result. And the ideal thing for him to do is to probe you, is to make you accountable. We need strong institutions that are devoid of who the president is and who the governors are. But Zadality just talked about the local government autonomy. You have given local government financial autonomy. Have you given them administrative autonomy? Have you given them electioneering autonomy? You are asking the same governors
to conduct
who have been holding down the local governments to conduct the elections for the local governments, and you are expecting some change, you can't get any change. So, for me, whether there is an autonomy or local government, it still boils down to the same thing, because at the end of the day, each governor in the state will appoint people they want. In Imo State, for instance, that's where I come from.
Right.
They did consensus candidacy for all the APC candidates. And these are people loyal to the governor. So if tomorrow, after the election, they win all the local governments, and then they send like 100 billion to each local government, and the governor calls you and says, move 50 billion to this account, will you be able to question it? Because at the end of the day, who are you going to be accountable to? Who would hold you accountable? The problem of Nigeria is corruption. If you cannot remove corruption, you cannot have a sane society.
Oh, well, it's an interesting one that you mentioned, talking about the Imo State local government council election. We also understand that there was a large record turnout of voters for the election. Is there the possibility going to go the way of the ruling party, who, of course, is the sitting governor, the APC government? Is there the possibility that there would be any level of change?
There can't be any change. Imo State has been captured. Imo State right now, under Hope Uzodimma, is in bondage.
By the APC?
Yes. So there is no election you will have under Hope that will give you a different result. So if you remember, before the last governorship election, Imolites were crying. Imolites were screaming that they have never seen this kind of government in their entire existence. And then when the election happened, what happened? They say he won overwhelmingly. You see?
Well, that was decided in court.
Let me tell you something, my brother. Today, Nigeria as a whole is a captured state by the political class. And so I've sat back and I've looked at the definition of democracy. Government for the people, by the people, and for the people. But what you have playing out in Nigeria today is government of the elite, for the elite, by the political class. Until we change that, we will never have a sane society.
It's very interesting that you mentioned that. So are you trying to say that the electoral system we practice in Nigeria is just a facade? I mean, it's just for the political elites.
You are here in Lagos. I don't know if you monitor the governorship election in Lagos.
Yes.
I lost a neighbor. Yes.
So what exactly would that be?
To hoodlums.
During the election?
The day of the election, they were chasing somebody. They said the guy took a video of some hoodlums stopping people from voting. And they chased him into this man's compound. And in the process, they pushed the man, and the man fell down. I went and I brought, what do you call them? Red TV. They came there, they interviewed the family, they have it on record. Who has been punished? MC Olomo made a statement which was aired. And at the end of the day, the police came out to say it was a joke. Has anybody, in what sane society would somebody make a threat and you call it a joke? And you saw the threat being played out.
And that brings us to...
So long as there are no punishment meted out to those who carried out such activities in Lagos, it will be carried out in other states and nothing will happen.
Now, that's an interesting one that you did bring to a board. We did see in a video, I don't know if our producers already, where a particular voter who came out to vote was, of course, stating that some of the talks that came there were saying, if you do not vote for this particular party, please just leave here. I don't know if our producers are ready. Let's quickly have that. That, again, is a story for concern, because just like you mentioned, you lost a neighbor. Some of the persons lost another family member. But the question now would be, as it stands, looking at the results and, of course, the elections in Edo State presently, looking at the elections in Edo presently, is there the possibility that the handwriting on the wall, as the results are showing right now, is a testament to the fact that the Edolites have spoken in this election.
We haven't seen the results. When we see the real results as being displayed by INEC,
yes,
we will now know whether the Edo people are ready to liberate themselves or they are ready to join other Nigerians in we go to bed empty hunger. There is hunger in the land. And this hunger is as a result of the bad policies of the APC.
Quite an interesting one you just did mention there, but we do understand, we hear now that collations of results have started, and we have some clips from some wards in Edo State. We'd like to take that if our producers are ready with that now. Let's just take that and we'll come back and continue this conversation.
Akpata not show. He should not show. No. Wait now. Wait now. 21, 22, 23, 24. Wait now. So most more. 27, 28, 29. Boss. 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85,
From what we are hearing there, Barrister, collation of results has started, and we see that some parts, the ruling party seem to be having an edge. Does that tell anything as concerning the statements that I made earlier, if Edolites have or are speaking through the ballot?
David, 90% of the time, the people of Nigeria have spoken with their votes. But what happens at the end of the day is what should concern you and I. Because no matter how credible, no matter how the people struggle, no matter their persistency, if APC doesn't want you to have victory, you will not have it. Take, for example, what happened in Imo State. When number 4 became number 1. It happened before our very eyes. What did anybody do? They went to court.
But Barrister, as it stands, isn't this a statement of fact that the fact that the people decide through their votes and the courts still finally decide who is going to be our leader? Isn't that a testament to the fact that our elections are not totally what it's supposed to be, because the decision of the people is still going to be decided by the courts?
That is it. You know, there are examples all over the world when people are angry or when people move against the government. What happens? In Bangladesh, just recently, it was a court decision that sparked riot. And the people said, no, this cannot happen. They fought their way to the state house. And the lady had to run for her dear life with her siblings and all that. They took refuge in India. That is the people's power. So, I've been saying it that it is always good to learn from what happened to others. Don't wait for it to happen to you. I've been saying it that if APC are not careful with their level of impunity and arrogance, the unthinkable may happen. And my fear is that it may not all go well for anybody. So instead of you to wait until those things that you have seen all over the world or in other countries happen to you, why not learn from them? How can you claim that number 4 is number 1? Do you know that the 388 polling units that Hope Uzodinma was contesting, even when it was collated, even when they calculated, it didn't still give him the winning vote. Yet they said he has won. That was why people like the United States got angry with all the judges that presided over that case and denied them visa when they wanted to visit the U.S. And today, one of them, the woman who was among them, has been made the CJN.
Now, Barrister, I would like to act on this particular note now. So if the judiciary is really, from what you're saying, if they are really the problem that our elections are facing, what then is the hope of the common Nigerian?
That hope will come.
Through what means, Barrister?
Hold on now. Look, nobody can change an idea whose time has come. Have it at the back of your mind. Whenever the time comes, thinking that he's all and all, his own biological son went to where he was staying and took him out. So we have seen examples. Nigerian leaders should not wait for it to happen to them. You are not invisible. It's just that God is giving you time to repent. If they don't want things to go smoothly and peacefully in Nigeria, it will backfire. It's a matter of time before people will say, okay, so these people think that we are foolish people, Abi. And they will not enter the seat and say to your tent, so Israel. No army can defeat an angry mob. No army. Go and check anywhere in the world. No army. Police will even leave their gun and run. So we should not wait for that time because of this thing that these people are doing. Are you telling me that today, was it not a Tinubu who went to court and said there should be local government autonomy? Are you telling me that today, if Tinubu should make an announcement that he doesn't want any toggery in any polling unit anywhere in Nigerian election, that they will continue to do it? It's not possible.
All right.
It's a question of willingness to do the right thing.
Having the willpower.
Yes, without thinking of your selfish interests. As if when you rule Nigeria, it is a ticket to heaven. All these things that they are taking, let me rule Nigeria, it's my ambition. I've been nursing for 30 years. At the end of the day, and Obasanjo have been there. What happened to him? Is he not a common citizen now? Buhari now, I'm sure he's regretting what happened to him at Aso Rock because he never thought the thing could be this bad. With all his integrity gone. Buhari cannot come out today and claim that integrity that he had before he entered politics.
All right.
So these are the issues.
Barrister, all right, I have to interject there now. Prince, we're speaking of Edo elections. We saw many politicians, even the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, beg INEC. It was almost like everybody was asking INEC, please conduct just credible, free, fair elections. Even Peter Obi, who was a presidential candidate in the 2023 election, also asked INEC that if you rig the election, we will rig you. This was what Peter Obi said. Now, speaking of rigging, when does this rigging occur really? Does it happen during the election, when collation begins, or even before the election?
It's a two-way thing. The rigging starts before the election and ends after the election. This whole, when Peter Obi went to the Supreme Court,
yes,
if you had followed the ruling of the Supreme Court very well, there was a statement made in that ruling that says that INEC has the power to decide on what means to use to transmit.
Yes.
Also, some of us who are not as learned as lawyers claim to be, but we have over time seen that that particular field of learning is questionable. Are they really learned? The judicial system in Nigeria, can we, broadly say, with an open mind, that it is a revered institution that it was before now? No.
Why do you say
We've had several Supreme Court judges, Court of Appeal, coming out to tell us, when they were leaving, telling us that the judiciary is corrupt. In other words, if I am indicting myself that I'm corrupt and I'm still sitting in judgment, then something is wrong. It's one thing to talk about INEC. INEC can do whatever they want to do. Why is the judiciary not having the will to do the right thing at the end of the day?
Do you think it's about the judiciary or the way the cases are being? Yes, basically.
But that shouldn't be. And I'm sure Barrister Danity will agree with me. Each time we bring this whole thing about technicalities and all of that, it's just a way to be able to undermine a situation. But you see, coming back to the question, before the 2023 election, the body you call INEC told us severally that results will be transmitted. Now, the question some of us kept asking then is, when you say results will be transmitted, how? I think the IREV, what do you call it?
Bvas.
The Bvas are solely meant for accreditation.
Right.
Yes.
Why are we not using the Bvas for the election itself? If you're talking about transmission. I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
So the moment you are being accredited, it means that you are a bona fide voter. So why don't you just do your voting at once? And the thing, so that this whole issue of I have to count, you have to snap, come on. In this 21st century, even the kids in the house will do this, they'll manipulate the system for you.
Oh, well.
So the point is that the rigging starts before the election. If you follow 2023 election, you saw where they said they saw ballot papers that were already printed.
Right.
And we, the people, I say this to the Nigerian people, we are responsible for every rigging.
How so?
How do you mean?
How so? How?
If a polling unit has 200, if it's assumed that there are 200 voters, Nigerians, please, go get your voter's card. If those 200 Nigerians come out to vote, it will be difficult for anybody to manipulate it.
It's interesting.
So it is when people don't vote that you create room for manipulation.
All right, that seems like a good place to anchor this conversation. But then, Barrister, on your final thoughts in all of this while we close the Edodisai studios, what do you think would be the outcome of this election? Because, of course, from what we hear, 85 to 87% of the results have been posted to the IRF portal. So it looks very obvious that this seems to be going in a positive light.
Yeah.
What do you think the outcome of this election is going to be like?
Yes, so far we have not seen any major events in Edo, except the isolated cases. And I pray Ondo will be like that, because I think Ondo will be the next. And if Edo people have, done what they're supposed to do in a free and fair atmosphere, then I don't think anybody will go to court. Because that is what we are talking about here. Our election must not end in court. Let it be the will of the people, because when the court decide, they may not decide properly, because a lot of things will come into play, which is against the will of the people, like what happened in Imo State. So let the election end at the polling units where the votes were casted.
All right.
After that, any other thing is secondary.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Barrister Darlington, for always being here. Well, we've been talking with Barrister Darlington Agumor, who is a lawyer and a political analyst. Of course, Also with him, we had Prince Francis Chilaka. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you, David.
All right. Well, this is where we have to draw anchor. On behalf of myself and Kayla Abraham, we want to say that to every single Nigerian out there watching, particularly the Edulites, we would only hope that you remain peaceful and, of course, wait for the results to be announced by INEC, because they are the only legitimate, yes, legitimate persons to declare elections results in Nigeria. Well, we want to say thank you so very much for being here. We want to sincerely appreciate you guys for always taking your time to be here. As we go, we also would encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube page. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Well, if you haven't subscribed already, click on the subscribe button. That's the much we can do this beautiful evening. Thank you so very much, Kayla.
Thank you very much. It was good being with you today.
All right, we gotta go. Do have an amazing weekend ahead. Don't forget, always pray for Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.